we are live again. Hey, Adam.
Hello. Hey, Marcus. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good on this Wednesdays today, huh? Yeah, I forgot. It was a busy week so far.
Yeah.
Wednesday,
It's
yeah.
been a long week, man.
Yeah. So tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, oh, bloody hell, still 2 days to go. But we will survive, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah, man.
There's a
Yeah.
beautiful day here in Adelaide. 28, 29 degrees.
Lucky you, man. It's
Unbelievable.
been horrible where I live, so lucky you.
Yeah, no, I should live in Australia. Okay, so today's stream is just Q&A, and of course whatever we want to talk about. I mean, but there's not a certain topic today. So that's what it is about, okay? Because Aaron is already asking, what's today's topic? Just ask a question, whatever you want to know. Not we can't tell you everything, of course, but what we can answer, we try to answer, okay? So that's the plan, huh, Adam?
Yeah, well, we already have a question here. I thought I would just bring this one up. So, hey, Marcus, since I have my OLED C1, since I have my OLED C1, never got an OLED before. I got in a couple games, motion sickness like Jedi Survivor at launch, Final Fantasy 16, and probably a couple more. You think it's because of OLED? Sorry, that question was written so unusually. It was very difficult to read. But I think you get the point. So what do you think, Marcus?
So the question would be, Henry, are you playing the 30 FPS mode or 60? Because he also did at launch after patches nothing. After patches nothing. That's interesting. But what I experienced when I had my OLED TV first and I played 30 FPS games, it was terrible in regards of picture clarity because everything is stuttering. Because OLED is just too good for 30 FPS. Maybe that's what you have experienced. Maybe.
I'm just rereading that question. So since I've had my OLED, I've never had an OLED before in a couple of games. I've had motion sickness. I've never heard anyone say that before. Do you think that's a particular setting? He may have an uninvert. What's the word? I can't even speak.
I mean, he's saying it's all at launch after patches nothing. So that's weird because I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe he can specify a oh my god, he can
he can write. I can't talk either.
That's okay. Maybe he can ask the same question in a different sentence. Let's say like this. So I don't know.
The first thing that came to mind could be, could he have possibly turned on black frame insertion, or what's the name of that on the C1?
And
is it BFI and stuff True Motion? That's it. Do you think that could be it? Because I remember when I tried True Motion the first time, it kind of made me feel a bit lightheaded. It was weird, but other than that, I don't think OLED makes.
But he actually brings Mamutum. He brings something up for Henry. Screen size and distance to the TV could be a cause, but then again, he wrote all at launch after patches nothing. Not sure. I haven't experienced that, to be honest. What of course I have experienced when I'm very tired and I'm playing a game, it's not really good because then sometimes you maybe getting dizzy and something like that. But next question from Asri. Will you play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? I think I never played a Dragon Ball game, to be very honest. I wouldn't even know what the gameplay looks like. I have no idea. But he's saying it has HDR, but it is broken. That's not a big surprise, probably. But anyway, no, I don't know. To be very honest, I never experienced or played a Dragon Ball game. It's not on my list because I'm not sure what I can expect, to be very honest.
What are you playing at the moment? Like, what games are you playing? Anything at all? I haven't seen you online in ages. So, are you playing anything?
No. The last what I tested was Silent Hill.
Oh, but you're just testing games, so you're not doing too much playing, right?
No, I don't have time for playing. It's really just literally the last couple of days just testing Silent Hill and a little bit playing, but it's not playing. You get my point. It's just it's not really playing,
Fair enough.
But that's how it is. What do we have here? Do you know what FPS and resolution will the Horizon remake have on base PlayStation 5? Not sure, but we know already that I'm pretty sure that the the base or the remake version right now has, I think, 1800 resolution and 60 FPS because it has a PlayStation 5 compatibility patch, but maybe they're able to bring it close to 4K with 60 FPS. I'm not sure. But I mean, it looks already nice. I'm looking forward for this, but that's not the game I'm looking forward to play on the 31st. It's more Dragon Age, what comes on the same day. I'm not sure why team is always doing this, but anyway. In this case, I think they will lose against Dragon Age because it's just a newer game, Everybody played already Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay, here we go. So,
hi guys, will the Pro PlayStation arrive 7 November or later? No, 7th of November is the day.
Is that when you're receiving yours? They're shipping it to you.
I hope I can pick it up.
Yeah.
Click
Okay.
and collect.
So let me ask you, what's the first thing you're going to do with your PS5 Pro? Are you going to actually play it, or are you just doing it for your technical reviews? Is it more?
No, it's for my technical reviews, of course. It's again, this is just looking at the games. There are now PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced or whatever. I think was it 60 now already? They're planning to do. This is a lot content to cover. So I will not have any time to play.
Okay. So next question was, I saw this one.
Yep.
I have a 55-inch C2. Should I get a G4? No, Marcus.
No, I wouldn't say no. Not at this moment. No, a C2 is still fine.
I don't think it's a big enough upgrade. On the last stream, I seem to always say this, but I still have a C1 and I swap between the C1 and the G4. And yeah, there is a noticeable difference, but would I get rid of my C2, for a G4? No way. You've still got so much life left in that TV, and the jump isn't that big in order to I guess change TVs and swap up to a G4. I just don't think you're going to get your money's worth considering you've just purchased a C2 2 years ago.
If you have money to spend, then go for it. But if you don't, then no.
If you've got money to spend, upgrade your TV every year. But I just don't think it's a worthwhile value proposition. That TV C2 still has a lot of life left in it. So yeah, I would suggest hanging on to that.
Yardman, if you guys had to buy one only PlayStation 5 Pro or Series X, which would it be? I have a Series X, but still within the return window. Oh, that really depends. I mean, Game Pass on the Xbox Series, this is just fantastic. If you like to, that's fine. Game Pass, usually if there's someone new coming to the gaming scene or whatever, I'm actually recommending Xbox because then you get the Game Pass and you're set. You know what I mean? Fine, But
yeah, I would suggest. Well, look, I'm heavily invested in the Xbox ecosystem. I have both. I'm fortunate enough to have both. If I'm being brutally honest, I probably I haven't turned my PlayStation on in so long. It's probably several firmware updates behind. I just think Xbox. I prefer the user interface of Xbox. What Marcus said. Game Pass is awesome, and if you have someone that you're good friends with, you can console share. So what one person can do, and a couple of friends I know do this, is they'll both pay for Game Pass and they make each other's Xboxes their home Xbox. I'm sure everyone knows that trick, but you can basically share Game Pass between two users. So I'm a big fan of that, and I just try to support Xbox just simply because if Sony gets any more further in front, imagine if Microsoft shuts down, which I don't think they will do. They've got so much money, much more money than Sony, but competition is good, keeps prices fair.
Absolutely. Yeah. But at the end, it depends, and this is the comment from John. Depends which games you like.
True.
Because if you like the first party games from Sony, then there's just, PlayStation. Or you wait a year or two for PC
That's
version.
true. Yeah, a friend of mine likes The Last of Us and Spider-Man and all those type of first person games. So he kind of goes over that side. I understand it's really what you prefer, I guess.
Media General. Hey, bro, you work very hard and I notice it. Thank you very much.
do,
Just watch
Marcus.
my videos always and watch the full video. Okay, this is very important. The longer you watch, the more revenue and the more actually it's getting recommended by YouTube.
Yeah.
So because if people just watching, let's say my settings, my recommendation, for 30 seconds, it's not getting recommended by YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. It does take a lot of work, and I know what you do, Marcus, involves a lot of time, and you have to do all your measurements, and you do the community a big favor, and I don't think you are given enough thanks for what you do, because myself, I tune into a lot of your videos when I purchase a new game, and I'm guilty of it. I just jump on for 30 seconds, get the settings, what I need, and I leave. But I think everyone does appreciate the work you do.
Of course, that's how it is. Nowadays, even 8 minutes, it's too long for some people to watch. Unfortunately, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how it is here. Can't wait for PlayStation 5 Pro and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yeah, I'm looking forward to test all the new games. There's not a single new game. But anyway, all the upgraded games, compare with PlayStation 5 to get an own impression, actually, if it is worth to spend so much more money for the PlayStation 5 Pro. And then even then, it's just my impression, because other people just think I don't care. I like to have it. Yeah. What is this here? This is good. Ölpresse. I'm looking for Rise of the Ronin and Duty. I wish 120 Hertz with better performance graphics. Yes. Yeah, I hope so too. 120 Hertz or 120 FPS for Call of Duty would be nice. Rise of the Ronin, was this not also already a little bit problematic in the 60 FPS mode? I think so, yes. So maybe that's getting even better. You want to choose one?
Sure. I guess this is one you can probably speak to. It's from Jin. He says, hello, I have a LG C10 CX for about 3 years now. Should I buy a new LG OLED, Marcus?
Absolutely. The CX is crap. No, of course not. The
Actually, you got me then. I thought you were serious.
No, the CX. So what I experienced with the CX, the gaming wise, the pictures is still great. Okay, of course, there's a difference between my CX and the G2 and the S95C in regards of brightness. There's no doubt about that. Okay, but again, then we're talking about $5,000 Australian dollars for a 65-inch version G4. Are you happy to spend that? That's a big question. What I experienced, the internal apps, and I'm not sure why this is the case, but it looks like that Netflix, YouTube, it is sharper and with less artifacts on my CX compared to the G2.
Really?
I'm not kidding. I had those TVs side by side, and I compared them with Netflix, the exact same program, exact same settings and stuff like that. And I came to the conclusion the CX shows less artifacts and a slightly sharper picture. And
how does that make sense? Because wouldn't the G2 have a better processor?
Yeah, but you never know what they're really doing internally. You know what I mean. So, and I was like, same settings. You know what I mean. There is anyway. So it's a great TV. I would not upgrade it. I mean, and if you like to upgrade just because of gaming and you're a hardcore gamer, then I would probably more recommend to get on QD OLED just for gaming purpose. Or you need to upgrade to the G4. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You buy a C2 or whatever, C3. It doesn't make sense. No sense. No.
When you did that testing, were you using just the internal apps on the WebOS?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you tried using, say, an Apple TV or something like that?
Yeah. So I have an Apple TV, and I tried it for months, and then I went back to my internal apps. The Apple TV, what I have, and maybe there's now an update or whatever, but it raised the black level slightly. It had artifacts. So the Apple TV was not as good as the G2 or S95C.
Which year model was that Apple TV?
Oh, that's a 2024 or 2023. Was an update.
4K. So it was a 4K.
Yeah, it was a newer one. Yeah, 4K. Absolutely.
Very interesting, because I have a combination of LG, Hisense, Samsung devices, but just due to like my family circumstances, I like the fact that when we turn on a TV, regardless of what brand it is,
Yeah,
it's the same
I know.
interface, it's the same
Yeah.
remote, it's the same controls. So for us, I think Apple TV really suits us. But I've never noticed that. But hey, maybe I'm not even like catching it. Maybe it's there and I just
No.
don't see it. But
So how I noticed this actually, so because I'm watching usually in a complete dark room, and what I've noticed is that when there was a complete black scene and with a little bit of details, it started to flickering slightly. And in the beginning I thought, okay, this must be my S95C. Bloody hell, crap TV.
yeah,
And I just tried to ignore it. And then I say, okay, this is okay. Let's just jump to Netflix internal app, just have a look at the same scene. And there was nothing. I said, okay, this is weird. Okay, let's connect this Apple TV to my LG G2 and have a look. And there was also very fine flickering. I'm very sensitive to flickering and stuff like that. So, and I said, this is not nice. Okay, changing HDMI cable, stuff like that, nothing worked. So, and at some point I just disconnected it, and I'm
interesting.
living fully after with internal
Yeah,
apps.
interesting. I'm very curious. When we catch up, if you're able to see any of that stuff
Yeah.
on
But
my setup.
maybe there was an update now. Maybe it was a brand new version where I missed a couple of firmware updates now. You know what I mean?
It could have just been a firmware update in general. So yeah. So just following up on Jin's question. So he originally wrote like he has a C10 for 3 years.
Yeah.
Should he buy a new LG OLED? And then he followed up, and then which LG OLED you recommend? So obviously, Jin is sold on the LG brand. So if you had to recommend one, what would you recommend and why, Marcus?
If he wants to jump, and which LG OLED you recommend? So if you, I mean, the LG G4 is the next update in my opinion. Then sorry to say, but again, don't get a G3. I mean, maybe even the G3 with a very good bargain would be an update as well, because in terms
Are they
of
still selling them?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you can get one very for a good price, then that's something what you have to look into it. But it depends on the price, really. If money doesn't matter, then go for the G4 or wait for the next announcement. I don't know what happens with the G5, but apparently not much. Let's say like this.
Yeah, if you really have to upgrade, look, I would even say, like, kind of what Marcus is saying. Look, the G4 is the king. You can't deny that. But I would dare say we are just on the horizon of hearing about a G5. Like, it's usually this time of year we start hearing whispers, and then, early next year we see the G5. So if you are going to upgrade and you want to get the best bang for your buck, potentially hang out and wait for a last minute G4. You'll probably get that at quite a good price. But in my opinion, bottom line is I wouldn't upgrade. You've only had that TV for 3 years, man. I'd keep that for at least another 2 before I'd even thinking about upgrading. I think 5 years is a pretty good time, especially because that was one of the best TVs of its day. So it's still going to hold its own for a while. Here's a question for you, Marcus. So Cohen, is that
Cohen?
Bralunitz? Question: why doesn't Sony add a native 120 hertz output option to its settings? I want the option to always output 120 hertz. I'm assuming he's referring that to the TVs.
Yeah, no, because the Xbox you can set the Xbox to 120 hertz output all the time, but not on the PlayStation 5. I don't understand it either. This is just lazy. This is just stupid, to be very honest. I don't know why. They should add the 120 hertz option and also FreeSync to the PlayStation to have a proper LFC low frame rate compensation like the Xbox would be much better. But
yeah, Xbox seems to have the extra bells and whistles. It even has Dolby Vision gaming. That's not even that important, but it still has it. It seems to they've really got that right. Could that be anything to do with the bandwidth limitation on PS5 HDMI 2.1?
No, because there is a 120 hertz option, even with HDR and whatever, but it's just automatic. If a game supports 120 hertz, then it will use 120 hertz. But on the Xbox, you can play any game in 120 hertz, even it's just 60 FPS or 30 FPS.
Yeah, I just saw that after I commented. I promise I wasn't copying, but yeah, we were pretty much thinking the same thing. Yeah,
it's not because of that. So, but They're saying the PlayStation 5 Pro supports apparently 40 to 48 gigabits per second, which would be crazy good.
Yeah.
But it's not needed actually, because I looked a little bit into this. Even you have 8K 60 HDR, 32 is enough. That's how it is. Yeah, you don't need it, you know.
Yeah, Cohen also says console share is possible on PlayStation. I do that with my Xbox and PS5. So I know there was like a home sharing thing with PlayStation, where you could play each other's digital purchased games. But in terms of, I haven't really used my PS5 much. So in terms of Game Pass, I know PlayStation tried to do their equivalent. Do you think it's a competitor? Like, is it on the same level, would you say, as Game Pass, or is it
So
a second tier
the,
kind of competitor?
so the problem is, so I tried the highest membership on PS5, and I noticed, so for a year, of course, it's very expensive here in Australia, 100,
It is.
150, 160 or whatever
Mm,
dollars per year. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, it's the same price probably as Game Pass, but I found that first of all, was there any important or good first day release or day one release? I don't think so. I can't remember. Of course, you have a very huge library on PlayStation games, very huge library, but nothing like the day one releases on Game Pass. You know what I mean?
mm.
And we're
Yeah, I've
talking about
noticed.
good day one releases.
Well, yeah, now that Microsoft has purchased, what's the studio that Activision Blizzard?
Activision, yeah,
Yeah, so now I'm noticing the next Call of Duty is on Game Pass day one. And look, that's pretty cool, man, because I would say that's probably over a $100 Aussie game, um, when that launches. So I think that's pretty good value for money, in my opinion. But
absolutely.
I love Game Pass, man. I think it's one of the best things they've ever done. So I just hope they continue
It
with
is,
it.
and not just because of day one. So we need to consider there are a million games getting released, and not million, but there are thousands of games probably getting released every year.
Mm,
And most of them are indie games. And
mm,
some of the indie games are much better than any AAA game, so-called AAA game. And without Game Pass, I would never play them because I'm not paying $29 all the time just to test a game.
yeah,
So and with Game Pass, you play them and you support also, of course, the developer. So it's
yeah.
great.
This one's a great comment from Magic Smoke. I like PC Game Pass and PS5 for exclusives. Sony PC is not available. PC release is not available in my region. So, yeah, I think that's a good tactic. And I have heard a lot of people debate whether Xbox is relevant anymore because quite often they say, I'll just get a PC for my PC and Xbox games and then have my PS5.
Yeah.
But I believe PlayStation is now starting to release some of their games on PC as well. Is that correct, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, but so far as I know, not on the. Or was there? I mean, Silent Hill 2 remake is day one on PC and Game Pass and PlayStation 5, but
Right.
I haven't heard about that any new game comes day one on PC. This
Yeah.
will probably not happen because it wouldn't make sense then to have a PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Yeah. For me
So, but
personally, I work at a computer all day. So the last thing I want to do after sitting at my desk all day is go and sit in front of my PC. I used to be a PC gamer when I was younger. And like I agree, PC gaming is the best. You can get the best hardware and all that kind of stuff. But as an IT engineer by trade, um, I fix PCs, I fix problems all day. And like one thing I love about consoles is I can just sit on my couch and I don't have to worry about software updates, firmware updates, drivers, antivirus. It's kind of like a little boxed ecosystem and it just kind of takes care of itself. So for
yeah,
me, that's kind of my style. But yeah, I understand. Like you can't deny PC is the king, but
uh,
yeah, that's a pretty good tactic.
obviously,
So
yeah. So in this
this one's
case, so
really good.
because oh yeah,
Go ahead,
no more
Marcus.
questions
Sorry.
from me. No more questions from me. Just wanted to thank Marcus for his HDR setting guides and for still supporting ZX. Yeah, no worries. I give him up HDR until I found your channel. A big thumbs up. Okay, no worries.
Yeah,
Don't give up
that's
on
really
HDR.
cool.
No.
That's really cool. I'm I really believe Marcus is doing the community a favor here. You spend a lot of time and energy doing all that stuff, and I don't think anyone else is competing with
No,
you.
and
Well, even there's just no one else doing what you do. Is that just releasing early videos, straight off the
I
bat when the games
I
are out? It's
I
fantastic what you're
try.
doing.
The problem is, and I think many people. So first of all, I'm not getting review codes to all the games. I'm getting there, but it's very hard because I mean, that's how it is here. Okay, you can ask, but sometimes they say no, sometimes they say yes. So
Yeah,
and then you rely on the normal day of the release, and this is then very hard because of course you like to release your video as soon as possible, and this is a lot of pressure. I think sometimes people um, don't understand how much time and work it is to release a video like that. I
yeah,
think just not even talking about the editing at the end, which can take hours as well, to make sure that you have the right, picture to the right, what I'm saying at this very moment. But just the testing, bloody hell, Silent Hill 2 took me ages because we have three different one, two, three, four, five, four, actually, I think four sliders which are very important in the game. Four. I mean, thank you, we have four, but yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah. Hey, KG,
hey
what's
KG,
up?
man, what's happening? All
Well,
right,
why are you up?
this
What's going on? What's the time?
yeah, I was gonna say it'd be a very unusual time where his part of the world is.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Here's one for you, John M. He says, "I have an S90C and did the S95C mod on it.
Oh,
Oh, okay. What's the right amount of nits that I should use in game? So, do you want to explain to people what the S95C mod is?
so I never tested this on my own, but apparently you can change the in the firmware or whatever, in the service menu, the panel ID, or the panel is the same as on the S95C, but it's restricted in terms of brightness, that they can sell the S95C for a higher price. But you can unlock this, okay? And then you have apparently exactly the same brightness. So what I found, because the S95C is tone mapping all the time, even you use static tone mapping in the picture setting, I would recommend to set it to 1800 nits, because that's what it is tone mapping to, according to my findings and Glass CTV and other calibrators. So 1800, okay?
So, is that similar to? I'm assuming you need to go through the service menu for that, right? That's so
No.
that no, okay. Wouldn't that potentially void your warranty? Because I
So you mean for the mod S90C, S95C mod? Yes, of course. This is going through the service menu.
service menu. I remember there was a mod for the C1 where you could go into the service menu. I remember it on Vinny Tio's videos. He created some sort of hack where you could go through the service menu and unlock extra brightness to match the G1. Do you remember something like that? But people were saying it'll void your warranty, so I never ended up
I
doing it.
mean, I'm pretty sure that everything can void your warranty as soon as you're in the service menu, because you can
Yeah.
destroy and you can mess up your TV. Full stop, and then it's gone.
It is amazing though that they will release two TVs and they will just sell. They're essentially the same, but they just slightly hold one back. You know what I mean? Like the S90C and the S95C. So what you're telling me is they are the exact same panels. Everything's the
That's what
same.
it looks like. So
Wow.
again, I haven't experienced it, but this is what people telling me. And I mean, it makes sense, you can't produce two different panels just because, and all what you have to do is it's a software limiter. And it's easy to do, because it's
Yeah.
instead of, you have your brightness setting 100, you still have your brightness setting 100 on the S90C, but internally it's just 80, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing to do. This one here. Hey Marcus, what's better, normal OLED or QD OLED? In terms of the panel, QD OLED any day. So, but then you have to, in terms of feature, that's a different story. Then I would actually say it's probably the LG G4 right now.
Do you think the QD OLED has a long enough life to determine if it's as resilient to burn in as the WOLEDs? Obviously, WOLEDs have been out for many, many years now. QD OLED's kind of new to the market. Do you think they've been tried and tested for long enough in consumers' hands to go, okay, these are just as good at dealing with burn-in, or you don't think it's an issue with the QD OLEDs?
No, I don't think they have anywhere. So that's what I think. Nowadays, there's no long-term testing from companies anymore. So the products are getting tested by the customers, and they pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but if there would be a big problem, we would already knew it, because we have people out there somewhere, their TV, they never turn off the TV. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. This one's from Yashko Demirovic. Hey guys, kako ste? Hey, kako ide, Mr. Kurac? All right. Only he'll know what that is. Okay, so Duckney. Oh yeah, playing 60 or even 30 FPS games at 4K 120 hertz HDR on PS5 would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not saying why.
Yeah,
because
I think he's just saying that, if we could get a 30 FPS title and just crank it straight up to 4K 120, that would be very cool.
Yeah, but a 30 FPS in a 120 hertz window is the advantage is that you have a way lower input lag. So the half of the 60 hertz mode. So that's why I prefer the 120 hertz mode on the Xbox always over the 60 hertz.
Yeah, because isn't that just frame doubling from 60 to 120?
Look, because it's just it's not frame doubling, but it's usually, so the response time of the panel is much higher, and that's why, because everything works much faster, you halve your input lag. So let's say your OLED TV has 8 milliseconds in the 60 hertz, it has 4 milliseconds in the 120 hertz mode. And if you can feel this, that's a different call. But of course, you like to have the best if you play.
Yeah. Azri says, question, so these questions are a little bit hard to read because they're not correct grammarly, but does gaming industry is at limit? I don't know what he's trying to say. Does the game, can you read that?
If they don't know what to do anymore, probably something like that. I understand what he means, that they are just on the limit, they can't do anything anymore. Not that they're not on a limit. So the problem between PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro is that Sony knows exactly what they're doing, and they're doing exactly what they have to do and nothing else. Nothing else. That's what they're doing, and that's it.
I don't think they're trying hard enough because they've just got too much of an advantage. They don't need to. Yeah. No. That's why if Xbox were to release a Series X Pro or whatever you want to call it, I think they would have to smoke the PS5, but I just think they're going to jump to the next generation. I don't think they're going to come out with a Pro, but time will tell. They did come out with the Xbox, what is it, One X. That was a really good console. Yeah. This one's for you, Marcus.
Okay, let me translate this. So as soon he's using 120 hertz mode with VRR and he is playing at 120 hertz with VRR, the system changes into 1080p. Xbox stays at 4K. So this is interesting because this should not be the case. So you have something wrong in your settings. Definitely, because the PlayStation 5 can easily do 120 hertz with VRR in 4K. There's no problem at all.
Yeah, try changing your HDMI cable. It could be a low bandwidth cable. That's the first thing that came to mind. It could be just a low bandwidth cable.
Yeah. And also change HDMI ports. Sometimes TVs have one HDMI 2.1 and then very cheap HDMI 2.0, which shouldn't be a problem for 4K. But no, PlayStation is not the problem here, believe me.
This is one for you, Marcus. So Daphne said, do we need 40 gigabits per second for 4K 120 RGB 444? I thought you'd need the full 48 for that, wouldn't you? Or is there some?
No, it's depending. So RGB 444. I mean RGB. So first of all, RGB is not 444. So we're mixing always YCP-CR and RGB. RGB is always the highest quality what you can have, and then on the other hand you have YCP-CR, and there you have 3 different quality standards: 444, 422, and 420. And by the way, 420 is used on all the Blu-ray DVDs. Okay, so the lowest standard, and you still have a great picture quality. Okay, but I'm not sure if you need.
Maybe for this. Probably you can answer this. I think with my LG OLEDs, if I switch my gaming input to a PC mode, I will get 444 chroma. But
Yeah.
I think I lose, I can't remember what it was, but I think I lose something in lieu of that. Do you know what I'm talking about, or am I?
It can be that you have a much higher input, like in a PC mode, can happen. Can be much better because so it depends on the PC mode. Some PC modes actually deactivating a lot of picture settings
That
to
could be it.
to make it even more responsive and stuff like that, which I don't like at all, because then you lose all your nice calibration things. It depends really. But the LG G4, so on the LG TVs, OLED TVs in general, I'm not recommending DPC mode, because it just works. You know what I mean? And the difference between full or 444 or RGB or 444 and 420 is if you're not looking at very, very fine text on a specific background, because this is also then very important, you won't see a difference. You can't see a difference. That's my opinion.
I think KG said he's keen to join in for a short amount of time. If you want to
Yes?
invite him in, I'll continue on with some
Yeah,
questions.
okay, no worries. I send you invite, and here and here. You're getting something on X, okay, KG?
So Cohen said, I think Game Pass is a better deal, but in reality, I play more games out of my PS Plus extra subscription, and most first-party games are there. Yeah, I would say most people would agree with that. I personally think Game Pass is a much better deal, but a lot of people are like, man, the games on PlayStation are better. You've got what is it, like Last of Us, I said before, Spider-Man, a lot of those titles that you
But
can
it
only
depends
get
what
on
you like,
PlayStation. I'm
It's
not
very
really
hard to
into them.
say.
So for me, it's not a big deal. But I know people who are just religious over those type of games. And I guess that's why Sony locked them down, right? They're part of the Sony Pictures catalog. So they've got the rights to those IPs.
Don't get me wrong. So I said this already in one stream. A new Jack and Dexter, or just a remake or remaster from the first part. I hope a remake would be nice. I would buy just a PlayStation for this game. Full stop. I would just buy a PlayStation for this game. I loved this game back then. I have so great memories on this. And yeah, that's how I grew up, Jack and Dexter. My goodness. Unbelievable.
I tell you what, when the PlayStation 5 came out, the one game that got me excited to buy the PS5 was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And it was funny, they really got me because they were talking about how you need the SSD to provide, how you can travel through portals in the game, and they're saying you can only do that with a high-speed SSD, and later that was disproven because people were playing it on PCs on regular hard drives and things like that. But that's why I wish
but have you seen the comparison? How long it took and it stutters? I saw it, but it's, hey, KG.
What's up?
What's up, man? Yeah, so there was a comparison, wasn't there, where were they playing it on PC, and you said they didn't need
they tried it on hard drives, not on SSD, even on hard drives. And yes, of course it will work. Why not? But the frame rate was so bad, you know what I mean? You couldn't play it properly, and you need SSDs for some reason. Yeah,
of course. Hey KG, welcome to the stream. Good to see you again, man.
Hey man, what's up? Yeah, good to see you guys.
Cool. So if anyone's got any questions for Sensei KG, just send them in the comments down below. We've got two techsperts here tonight, so questions can get pretty techy. So let's see them. So you got any other questions you're looking at here, Marcus, you want to highlight?
Millions. But this is something, so I'm pretty sure 40 gigabytes for 4K 120 RGB 444. I'm pretty sure we need 40 gigabytes because, and I'm almost sure the Xbox puts out full RGB or RGB 12-bit with 120.
I think
10-bit. I'm pretty sure.
I think 32 can do it, but I gotta double check. The chart that I sent you would say all that stuff on there. But if you're using DSC, it does it. So it's like it depends on what it's using. If it's using DSC anyway, which it might be,
Do consoles support DSC?
I think so. don't they?
So for those
so-
people there who don't know what DSC is, do you mind just giving a quick rundown, KG?
Oh yeah. Let me see.
Was
So I
it?
don't know how to
It's a
technically break it down to you.
Yeah.
it's
But
just
it's pretty much just
compression,
a
isn't it?
compression.
It's a compression.
Yeah,
It's a
pretty much the
compression. Yeah.
compression. So like, I don't know the full technical
Yeah. As soon you use
breakdown of it, but
the 18
it's,
gigabits is all what you need.
yeah.
Even for 8K. No, okay, no, sorry, not for 8K, not for all. But then you need 40 gigabytes at some point. So 8K,
Mhm.
444, 8 to 12 bits would need 40 gigabits. So
Yeah.
that's
So
of course now, but not when we're now talking about 420, then 32 gigabits. And this is what the PlayStation chain or outputs, as soon you do HDR 120 hertz, you have 420. You have right. You have no full A. You have 420. I'm pretty sure about that, which is still fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what else do we have?
Okay, guys, quite a lot of questions here. Jeez.
Millions.
So KG, did you get a
Mhm.
PS5 Pro?
Not yet. So far we've only had pre-orders open for like through Sony directly. I'm probably gonna
That's
do mine
weird.
through GameStop because I already have like some credit there. So
Sure.
yeah, so I'm probably just gonna wait until then.
So
So
you
are you an
just
actual gamer, or are you just doing this for your
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a gamer, but if I wasn't having a channel, I probably wouldn't get a PlayStation 5 Pro. Like I'd probably just stick with like every other console that I already have. So
Yeah.
but yeah, do you need one? I mean, like that just goes to say, like, do you really want to play 60 frames per second at the highest quality mode? Like, right? Because that's really what you're getting at the end of the day. You're getting the quality mode at 60 frames per second. So
Yeah, I feel like it's PS4 and PS4 Pro all over again, because that was kind of
yeah,
it last time around. It was kind of, you'd get a quality, a little bump in the quality, and it was essentially most of the time the same frame rates. But yeah, I just don't see the value in it, in my opinion. I don't think it's worth that kind of money. It's, in Australia at the moment, the PS5 Slims are on sale, and you can almost get two for the price of a Pro.
Yep.
So I just don't think it's a good value proposition.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. But anyway, here's a good comment from KG. You need at least 20 hours for a full video filming and editing. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Mm.
Absolutely. No, really. Sometimes, Sometimes I'm getting, when the same probably with KG, when you browse videos you watch other videos and you just watch some guys or whatever just sitting in front of a camera and talking about bullshit and getting 100,000 views, and you just think,
Yeah.
bloody hell, what? He's just, look at this quality, 1080p, what? And you're just, no, I don't know. Sometimes,
It can be very demotivating at times.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you'll put, God knows, a couple of days into a video and it will get nothing. And then you sometimes make a really effortless video and it explodes. It doesn't make sense. There's a channel, don't ask me how I stumbled across it, of a woman covered in body paint cleaning windows and tables now. And man, like, she's literally just in body paint on YouTube. I don't even know how it's
just send me
how
the
it's
link.
okay. Yeah. send you the link. But man, she uploads a video, and I'm not kidding, like within 4 hours it's on like 500,000 views, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
man,
of course.
I'm in the wrong biz, man. Like I'm looking at
Man of
TVs
culture.
and I'm like, yeah.
So like, yeah, speaking of low effort videos, right? I'll make these really high quality, long form videos, and I'll spend like, I don't know, 40 hours just doing the whole process, right? And it'll get like 10K views or something. And then I'll make a video talking about like a buying guide for Black Friday like a while, like 2 years ago. For some reason, that video just like blew up. It's like at 671K views. It's not relevant anymore, but people watch it every day. And I tried to like bomb it by like changing the name. I tried to like, I just don't know, but I'm not going to take it down because it's a lot of views, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so frustrating that I don't know why certain videos take off and then some of them just don't. So
I don't know. But it's really frustrating sometimes because you put so much work in and you expect something, and then what's going on here? For my Jedi Survivor, the videos that they didn't work, not at all.
Yeah.
And it's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not the money what I spend on the games to test them actually, or for you know what I mean. It's really the time you put in.
time is
Yeah.
money. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what the thing is like you have to have time to do this. You have to. You have to find time. And if you can't, it gets really hard to navigate like life. So
Yeah,
for sure.
especially trying to manage a YouTube channel, a job, and a family, relationships, all that kind of
Oh
stuff,
shit, the
man.
family. Oh my god.
Chris D has a comment. So, speaking about forcing 120 hertz for the PS5, just like Xbox, if you have LG OLED, there is a boost option in my C2 at least. Basically, 60 hertz content runs at 120 hertz for lower input lag. That's what we were discussing before, right? Where is that the frame doubling, or it's so? How is that actually happening? The boost mode where they're
I
forcing
don't know what
60 FPS games to run through
he can't
120
talk
hertz.
about true motion because that's not low input lag.
That boost mode's like when you activate it, it cuts the input lag in half or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
so how does it achieve that? Is that from frame doubling?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea
So
if it's like manipulating the frames or what it's doing exactly.
he's talking about the input lag, the selection. We
Yeah.
have standard, boost, and super boost or
Correct.
whatever. Okay,
I
gotcha.
think it turns off some processing.
Yes, I think you
Yeah.
get if you
Possibly.
would probably if you would have a super high-end camera, you probably see a little bit more lasing and stuff and whatever, maybe because the
Probably.
processing is not as good anymore. Probably.
Yeah.
It has to be like that because otherwise, how should it be achieved?
Yeah, it has to be something to do with processing. I know like some of the newer TVs have a 240 hertz mode, but it uses 1080p lines, so it's like it cuts the resolution to achieve that,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, no,
to
that's
get to
not
the
a
240
thing.
hertz. So I don't know
So
if
that's
it's
a good
doing something similar or what, but
probably, yeah. That's a good comment actually, because I mentioned before that so with testing games and all doing the settings, time is always a very sensitive topic because if I'm getting early access codes for some games, it's not a problem at all. But then, of course, you can have a bad experience because let's say you do your frame rate analysis without a day one patch, and then a day one patch gets released, and you have complete different results than other people 2 days later. That's a problem, of course. And I had this, I think, with one, I can't remember what game, but Digital Foundry, of course, released the game on the release day or when the embargo ends. And then I had my video up 2 days later, and I had complete different values, actually better ones, and people started, no, can't be right. Digital Foundry say, but there was a day one patch where they mentioned frame rate improvement, so
yeah.
So now the question is, what do you want? You want the product, what the people can play, or it's very hard, or you want to be on time.
Yeah. Here's one. So there was a couple of comments going back and forth, but been considering the same thing. Have a LG C2 should get a G4 or not, but hopefully LG can get FOLED. I don't know if you can speak to this at all, KG. Last time we were on the stream with FOMO, I asked him about it, and I believe like maybe a year ago there was like some news that FOLED may be coming out around the G4, but didn't happen. And from what I understand now, it looks like it's been pushed quite far back. Is there anything you can share about FOLED and its progress, if it'll happen?
Yeah, it's pretty much a work in progress right now. There's no indication that it's going to be at CES. If it is, I'll be surprised. But these things kind of move like rapidly. And honestly, it could be shelved 1 minute and then all of a sudden it's there. So MLA, for example, was not supposed to be at the CES, like when it was revealed, like 2 years ago, and it was there. So it was like that was kind of unexpected that it was being in the G3 because everybody was saying that it's not ready. And that was like in December when they were saying it wasn't ready, and there it is in January. So a lot of the reports that we get are from like Korean outlets and stuff. and you don't know how old their information is or how current their information is. They could be just writing a report and then they finally get it out. So there's just so much unknown with that stuff. I don't expect it, but you never know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and this could be complete bull, but I thought the MLA technology was reserved for their 8K panels, and then when they started when Samsung started producing the QD OLED panels, I read somewhere that it was like kind of a knee-jerk reaction to kind of compete. But I could be completely off topic. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not. Have you heard that before? I kind of heard it was supposed to be reserved for their top tier TVs, but yeah, in order to kind of catch up to QD OLED. I could be wrong, but I remember reading it somewhere.
I haven't quite heard that one. The 8K, they don't even have it on there right now, as far as I know. They could, but their 8K models they're just so hard to predict what's going on with those. Sometimes they don't even release them. Like LG is really tentative on like when they release their 8K models. I believe like last year's 8K model got released this year, and then
Wow.
this year didn't even get one. And Sony, like for example, they didn't even do an 8K LCD like they usually do. So Samsung's like the only one really pushing 8K.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna change, but, like, as far as, like, MLA being only in 8K before that, I don't think that was just the case. I think they were always just kinda working on bringing it to 4K first, but
Sure. And in terms of
Yeah.
FOLED, sorry, Marcus, I've just quickly
No, go for it.
I was asking FOMO if what he thinks if they perfected the blue phosphorescent subpixel, would that mean they could potentially remove the white subpixel and make it a true RGB OLED panel from LG, and that could somehow compete with the QD OLED panels? Do you have any thoughts around that? Is it
yeah,
possible?
I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of the white subpixel, all in all, right? Like, that's the ultimate goal. I I don't know what they're gonna end up achieving or, like, because right now all the discussion around it is a lot of it is based on mobile devices and smaller displays. So could we get there? Yeah, I mean, there's also the dual stack, right?
Yeah.
What they're using in the
Tandem.
iPads, the tandem OLED, yeah. So like there's talk about that being a thing. There's talk about stacking two different QD OLEDs together, like from a different manufacturer, different display
Imagine the
makers.
pricing. Imagine the pricing on that if they start doubling panels.
Yeah, I think, like, that's the thing about display technology is, like, it's nowhere near complete. Like, it's always gonna be evolving. So I expect some crazy things to pop up here in the next 2 or 3 years for sure. Um, FOLED being, like, one of the main driving factors behind that, and then, tandem would be really cool, but I feel like that's more of a pipe dream. And then, like once we can get to like a real steady, like true quantum dot, like that would be like really good if they can get self-emissive quantum dots,
Mm.
But I don't think we're there yet. So there's like some displays out there that was like prototypes and stuff, but they don't get very bright yet.
So the Wood is saying Xbox will release next gen in 2026. Let's see.
I'd love to know where you got that information. I haven't heard anything, but
Yeah.
it would be
There's
cool.
no info.
Also,
There's no info.
do you know where the information came from, like PS5 Pro being 40
Oh,
or
it's
48
48
gigabytes?
on
Like,
X. On X. A lot
oh,
of
okay. So, but like, has Sony
yeah.
officially said it, or has like Digital Foundry like got information
No.
from Sony? Like, it's
it's
not
just
official. It's not
from
even close. Okay.
it's not from official. When you really check, it's not official. It's unofficial from many people, but then when you realize this, it's not official.
Yeah,
No.
it just doesn't. It doesn't feel like it would make sense, because it's essentially the same.
Again, if they don't have to, they will not do this because Sony just fixing the mistake on PlayStation 5 and resolve those issues to achieve a stable 60 FPS at a decent graphics fidelity. I mean, I don't think that the PlayStation 5 or Xbox is weak or whatever. It's just the games are getting so demanding. Unreal Engine 5 is just a pain, for anything, even for 4090. That's how it is.
Yeah, I feel like they had that with last generation, like PS4 and PS4 Pro, Xbox One X. They were all racing to hit that 4K standard. I
Yeah.
really feel like it's a lot of the time it's just about bragging rights. They're not really focusing on delivering a smoother, better just gameplay. Like you see all these games coming out and they're doing 60 or 120 on consoles and they look absolutely grubby.
Yeah.
I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws at the moment, and I think it's a cool game, but in that any mode, it looks like crap, absolute crap.
So like
So
when the Pro console started to come out, like I was hoping that the newer consoles would eventually just try to focus on native 4K, try to focus on that. And then like we never got there. Instead, it's like we went backwards and they were like, oh, let's put a little bit of ray tracing in here and there, but we'll just keep the checkerboard rendering and all that. And
yeah,
you
I agree.
it's kind of weird how they do that, because if you have a clean native 4K, I think that would be really solid. If you could achieve everything with it, but that's the
Yeah, it
problem.
seems to be all the bragging contest. They're not focusing on the fundamentals, getting them right. It's just like you said, oh, we've got better ray tracing. Hey, our SSD is faster than your SSD. It's all just a measuring contest. Mine's bigger than yours. It's just they're not focusing on just getting things right. If I completely agree.
Let me just. So this was from the question before, why he can't, or why his PlayStation 5 actually turns or changes the input to 1080p, or his TV 1080p when he's playing 120 hertz and VRR. So he's using the HDMI cable what was provided with the PlayStation 5. I would recommend, check your settings and use the HDMI channel or input where you have connected your Xbox, just to verify that there's no issue, with this HDMI port or something. And I don't understand this one here.
Oh, I got one next. That's
I
funny.
can understand it in German, but I don't understand why he says it's bullshit. On the Xbox, it's also not 120 hertz 4K. It also scaling down as on the PlayStation 5. That's why Sony made the PlayStation 5 Pro. So I think you're mixing up things. So first of all, we're talking about the output resolution. What is 4K on the PlayStation and on the Xbox? But then we have to talk about the internal resolution from a game, which is a complete different story. Okay, so you can have 4K output resolution on your Xbox, PlayStation 5, but the internal game runs with 360. That's how it is. So
correct me if I'm wrong. Like I think the Series S even like outputs 4K, but it's
absolutely,
it's 1440p.
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Here's one for you, KG. So it's just this guy says Tech KG don't know to calibrate TVs.
I don't.
He also says Quantum Dot and Marcus better.
I don't see like I don't calibrate TVs, so that's not like really an insult,
Just why do you comment that?
Yeah, I don't know
who is Quantum Dot. Is
I
it
don't know
not?
who
Is it
Quantum Dot
Quantum TV?
Man,
No, please not.
The most.
Please, you're not
YouTuber.
comparing me with Quantum TV, please. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Everybody's better than this guy.
So at Tech KG, can you do videos? Can you do videos of comparison of TVs with games and HDR games specifically?
So I have a couple of videos with gaming comparisons in them. I think what I want to do going forward, it's just hard, right? Like it's hard because time is the biggest thing. It's like, how do you fit this in? I would love to do dedicated just game only comparisons. I think like eventually I can get there, but what do I focus on? Which TVs do I focus on? Things like that. I do a ton of gaming in my comparisons. Like if you've seen one of my comparisons before, like you see a lot of gaming in them. And I do have specific gaming comparisons on the channel. But yeah, I would love to do more. I just started to switch to HDR. Like my channel just switched fully to HDR now. And maybe that's what he means. Like do the old comparisons that you did, but like make them HDR. But
It's
yeah,
How
just
long are
time,
you?
man. It's
How
just
long are your
time.
videos in average when you do videos?
about
And how long does it take for the
14
HDR
minutes,
processing?
I would say. So like the HDR takes a day, like
Yeah,
a day or a day and a half, right? So I have to
I
have it
think
uploaded like 2 days
yeah,
in advance. I have
yeah,
to.
that's crazy. I think that they got better, YouTube in general, with the processing,
Yeah.
but it's still a
Sometimes
lot. So
it's one
because
day.
if you yeah, because if you upload SDR, it takes literally it's uploaded and it's done. It
Mhm.
maybe takes another minute to actually process the 4K or whatever, but then it's done. And 4K and HDR, and sometimes. So what I do and what I would recommend, upload the same video twice. Because what I found, sometimes you have suddenly one video already done after 2 hours in HDR, and the other video the next day. I'm not kidding. I did all the testing already. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Bandera Azeri. So he's a channel member on my channel. Thank you very much. So join channel membership. Thank you. Do you think that LG will outperform Samsung with OLED tandem technology? Because the only thing I see from LG every year is the increase in brightness, but the colors are still the same. Can you answer?
Good point.
I would say probably. I don't know. It's hard. Probably
Oh,
not.
see, the thing is with the tandem technology right now, that's something different, and I can't really speak to what it will be with TVs because tandem technology, that's just that's just a RGB OLED, right? Like that's just basically the same thing that Samsung uses with their displays. Like they both use a tandem OLED. Like they both can make tandem OLED displays. In fact, Apple had both of them making the screens for them. So when it comes down to like when it gets to the TV, I don't know exactly what kind of technology it'll be. And where Samsung will be at is another story. I feel like what we're gonna see this year, and this is just like a wild prediction, maybe. But I'm thinking we're gonna get to probably 4,000 nits on QD OLED and
Wow.
MLA. So I
Yeah.
would have to say it would be that, but that's just the claim, right? That's just their 4,000 nit claim. What in actuality will it be like more like closer to 3,000 nits? I think
Yeah.
because that's how it usually trends. But
For me, I just feel like we've just seen all these evolutionary upgrades. We haven't seen anything revolutionary. I would say, in my opinion, the closest thing we had to a revolution was QD OLED.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I'm just not telling people, like I'm saying to people who are asking, hey, should I upgrade my 2-3-year-old OLED to a G4 or something? It's like, no, like it's not that
yeah,
big of a jump to do that. And I just don't see anything coming out next year that's going to be a complete huge jump. I think they're all probably playing with different things in the background. There's faux LED, there's this tandem thing, there's a whole bunch of noise going on, but you got to remember also it's getting the cost down to a reasonable price where people are willing to pay for it, where they can start selling in large quantities. Because right now, OLED's still quite prohibitively expensive, in my opinion. I know so many people who will walk into a store and look at, say, a 77, 75-inch TV, and they'll go, well, this OLED's $5,000 and this one's, $1,200. Why would I buy that? So I just don't know if any of these new technologies will be able to get to those existing price points or better. So fingers crossed, but I think there's a long way to go before we get anything that's like, hey, sell your TV, let's upgrade.
yeah. I think the only people that should be really upgrading is the people that have LCD TVs still, right? Like
Correct, yeah.
because we were at a place where OLED was good. It's always been good, but LCDs did still have an advantage over OLED. It was brightness,
Yeah.
and it was color brightness. So now you fast forward to now, where you don't really have that advantage anymore. Sure, like the Bravia 9 is brighter, and at times it can have more HDR impact, but in darker scenes where there's colors and where there's brightness in those colors, and just if there's any sort of highlight in those scenes, even a dark scene, it's gonna be better on an OLED TV because LCDs just have too much to sacrifice. Like in the past, LCDs would still be better than OLEDs even in those cases. Very, very minor cases where OLED would still be brighter there. But we're talking about like maxing out at what 700, 800 nits for OLEDs, and then some of the LCDs were around 2000. Now it's like when you have these 1500 nit, 2000 nit OLED TVs, it's crazy how like you don't really need to focus on LCD anymore. And that's why it's been this one-sided thing where they need to get way more dimming zones to start to compete. And
Yeah.
they are going to up those dimming zones a ton this year. So
when the Bravia 9 was coming out, I just remember reading comments on, I watch your videos and FOMO's and Marcus's, everyone's, you kind of just check out what people are talking about. And you go in the comments section and everyone's like, the Bravia 9's the king. It's going to shut everything down. And I feel like every few years when there's like, I remember when like mini LED came out, everyone said, oh, it's the end of OLED, and now we've got the Bravia 9. And it's just every time there's some sort of minor technology upgrade, everyone's like, that's the end of OLED. But there's nothing that can beat it now that OLEDs now that OLEDs are getting bright enough or just as bright as most LCD TVs. You just can't compete with that micro contrast, like you said. So like the Bravia 9, I haven't had hands on, but I've watched a lot of content about it, and sure, it can get a lot brighter, but you just can't compete with, individual pixels being their own dimming zones. It's just, what can beat that? The only thing that could beat an OLED is something that isn't organic. You know what I mean? So that's not susceptible to burn in. That's pretty much it.
And we get so much flack for this, like saying that. And like you don't know how many comments I get where it's like, oh, you're so OLED biased. You're so OLED. You have this OLED bias.
I know.
How can you be a TV reviewer when you are showing so much bias to it?
Because I can see it every day.
And it's like, I'm telling you, like when it comes down to self-emissive technology, you can't beat that with contrast. You just can't. So you can come close, and these like the mini LED TVs with a lot of zones, like they have gotten really close. And I'm telling you, the blacks are black, like that is true. It's just when you get into really challenging scenes, like dark scenes, for example, things lift, and you notice a lot of flaws.
It's not just that you have halo effects, whatever. You have not the same brightness from the specular highlights, because it doesn't work, because you have just this dimming zone, and there's a little piece of bright specular highlight. It would need to it would need to brighten up the whole dimming zone, and it would look awful. Absolutely. No, it's not comparable.
Is you have manufacturers that they have their own preference of how they do things. So you either have the choice of dimming that highlight so that you don't get as much blooming, or you let that highlight go and you light it as much as you can. But since you are lighting it as much as you can, since you mentioned it's not self-emissive, so you are going to have some sort of haloing effect. And this can be a detriment for people. Like some people hate blooming. And other people, they're okay with a little bit.
You can't go back anymore.
So
I had the QN90. I had the QN95B, and this was the top LCD TV from Samsung back then. So, and it was next to my CX. And in terms of brightness, the QN95B was outperforming the CX any day, no problem. And then I watched TV or a movie or whatever. It was Stranger Things back then, what we watched on the QN95B. And we watched maybe half an hour and I said, no, let's go to the CX. It's sorry, that's how it is.
So I see a lot of comments about like calibrating in the chat right now. And I just want to say, like, I want to talk. I was talking to Classy, and we talk about it all. We talk all the time. And one thing we can agree on is like most people, like they get this whole thing wrong when it comes down to like, oh, the TVs aren't good enough out of the box. Like they're good, right? They're not calibrated out of the box. And that's the thing people need to understand is like
really
in
good
filmmaker
nowadays.
mode, oh my gosh, they're really good.
Yeah,
like they're so
really
close.
good.
The S90D and the S95D with the way they switched to BT 2020 for HDR filmmaker mode, really on point, really close. And I'm not saying it's calibrated, but does the majority of people need calibration?
The difference is not like day and night.
No, the majority of people that need calibration are the people that want the reference accuracy. So like I think people get calibration confused with this poppy image that isn't really calibrated. Like it's like a fake calibration. It's like calibration and like settings gets mixed up together. And there's culprits for that, and I'm not gonna say names, but you know that what's out there, right? Like that's not calibrated.
Many people would be very disappointed if we now calibrating their SDR picture to the standard.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it, but they don't realize, but they like that juicy kind of oversaturated look. And when you show someone a calibrated image, they're like, "Oh, it looks so dull and boring." It's just
people look outside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And when it comes down to tone mapping, like most people like this dynamic tone mapping. Like if they get a Samsung TV, you think they're going to use static, or are they going to use what is it called? Active. Yeah, you think they're going to use active? I think they're going to use active most of the time. I prefer static, but does that mean like I prefer a calibrated image? No, I just think static's a little, or active just is a little too much for me. So like I don't know. I wish there was like more of a middle ground, and that's something that we're kind of pushing manufacturers now. Like every time I get to talk to a manufacturer, I'm like, we need more tone mapping options. Like we need more control over the tone mapping, because that's what we need at the end of the day. Like more dynamic tone mapping options, more tone mapping options in general, more roll off options, like what LG is doing. Like,
I was gonna say
that was brilliant.
Done well.
That was brilliant what they did. So, but we need less complicated ones, because users aren't going to use those. So like if we just have little descriptions on the tone mapping, like we could get somewhere. And like I was talking to Classy about that, he totally agrees. He's like, we need more tone mapping options, and it needs to be more in like layman's terms for people to understand. So
let's jump back to the comment section, because we have a couple of darkness. So unfortunately you're wrong on that. You don't need 40 gigabits for 8K 60, because if they're using DSC, which I think 18 gigabits per second is absolutely enough. That's how it is. And if you would use, I think 420, let me just double check. 420 now, that's 8-bit then. For 10 bits uncompressed, you would need at least 40 gigabits, but DSC 18 gigabits. And I think that's what they're doing. So don't get me wrong, I would love to see the PlayStation 5 Pro having a 48 gigabit per second HDMI port, including FreeSync, because then we would have better low frame rate compensation, but I don't see it coming.
Is display stream compression, is that a part of the HDMI 2.1 standard? Like, because I remember reading that some devices that have 2.1 support don't support DSC. So is that actually a standard of 2.1? Does anyone know?
It is. I know like the Samsung TVs, for example, they can do 8K, I believe 120, 8K 120, and then 4K 240, like native 4K 240. And they use DSC. So I don't know if it's like within the actual like specification itself. Like if you have HDMI 2.1 ports, like it can do it, or does the actual like device have to support it? I don't think the device has to support it. I think it's just something it can communicate. It's like, is it compressed or it's not compressed? Like
the reason
one of those things.
The reason I bring it up, because I purchased a HDMI 2.1 receiver, and I remember when I was doing that, I can't remember the specific brand, but there were a few models that don't support DSC. So I remember reading in the manuals, they were like, because I ended up with a Yamaha RX A6A, and that has 7 2.1 inputs on the rear, which is really handy, obviously. And that supported that. And I remember there was another one I was looking at and it didn't support it. And that raised the question. I thought it was actually a part of the 2.1 standard, but it might not be. But I'm not the one to say if it is or it isn't. But
I'm not sure. I've seen some receivers that like they lack certain features, right? Even though they're HDMI 2.1. You have to understand this too. It's like HDMI 2.1 doesn't always mean 4K 120. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't always mean that, because they have this new, they let them just use it now. HDMI 2.1, you can have that be 4K 60, which is like, whoa.
That's something Marcus and I grind on all the time. And it's actually, we've got a video coming up where we're going to purchase a couple of TVs and we're going to do a collaboration here in my studio, and we're going to put them side by side. And now that they've changed the standard, it's kind of like USB 3.1. They're saying 3.0 is now 3.1. It's getting so confusing, but a lot of the TVs in Australia have partial HDMI 2.1, so they only support 4K 60, but they might have VRR and auto low latency mode. So now they can slap 2.1 on the box, and people are obviously getting disappointed.
Yeah, so like a way around that though, I doubt a TV is going to be not HDMI 2.1 with 4K 120 if it's a 120 hertz TV. If it's a 60
yeah.
hertz TV, obviously it can't do it. So like I
Mm.
think that's just the best way to do it, the gateway to look
But
at.
are they saving so much money to not put a HDMI 2.1 chip on it?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Maybe they're saving 5 cents and they're selling million of TVs. Yeah, it makes sense then.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
Hey Ivan, thanks for saying hi. Sorry I missed your comment before. He's always on my channel chatting
Cool.
everyone up. So good to see you, man.
And Darkney is saying or question, a lot of people in comment section seems to be basically asking about upgrading from their 800 peak LG CM1, CM or whatever to either QD OLED on MLA LG. And I think the only answer what we can give them, if you have money to spend, go for it.
Yeah, how much do you want brightness? Like,
yeah,
it seriously, it comes down to that. It's not a huge upgrade, right? It's not like in a dark room, this is a big upgrade. It's more of like you want more of a wow. You want more of a spectacle with your TV, and it'll give you that, right? Like if you put them side by side, you'll see differences. You will.
Oh yeah.
So it just depends on what you're getting, and I think go up in size. Like always go up in size if you're upgrading. Like that makes the upgrade a lot easier, right? Like if you have a reason to go up in size. Like maybe you have a 55-inch TV.
Size
Like
matters.
I've always wanted a 65.
Not
then
always.
You can go for that 65. You know what I mean?
It's your opinion, or maybe your wife's.
I actually just downgraded my size. I went from a 48-inch C1 to a 42-inch S90D.
Why did you go smaller?
Just because I wanted to have the screen on the desk. Before I had it on a mount, and it was a rolling mount, and I kind of just wanted to have it on the desk the whole time. I wanted to save some space, push it up against the wall more. And I like this duck feet look where I could just put my my Mac my little Mac Mini underneath, and then my audio interface right underneath the TV, and it's just saves so much space. And I can still have my camera on the desk, so it's like it's just more of like a setup reason, and it's actually an upgrade from the C1. Like surprisingly, holds the ASBL better. Like doesn't dim as fast.
I like to answer this.
And so, like, yeah, it's a lot of good things.
There is not a single game out there which supports HDHE. And I need to explain this what this means. So HDHE is a tone mapping option, a picture option. Okay, so no tone mapping. Okay, basically, the most accurate HDR picture what you can get when you use HDHE. And it's not depending on a game, not at all. So what people are always confusing is that in combination with the Xbox or also Windows 11 or PlayStation 5 HDR calibration control menu setting, bloody hell, this is not depending on HDHE or whatever. You can use whatever tone mapping you have on your TV and you set up your PlayStation 5, Xbox, this menu. It doesn't all what you do on the PlayStation 5, you set up a value, let's say 2000 nits, okay? And then the game actually looks for this value and put this in as the maximum peak brightness for specular highlights. That's all what is happening. It doesn't matter if you like to use HDHE, dynamic tone mapping on, gradient preferred or whatsoever on Sony TVs. It really doesn't matter.
And certain games, it's certain games do that, right? Like not all the games do that. That's
certain games. Certain games what are supporting the system level calibration on the console or Xbox. But again, this has nothing to do with HDHE because I can do the same on Windows 11 with my crappy monitor here, and there is no HDHE at all, and I can do the same, you know. And just how many games supporting the system level calibration? Not many.
That's one thing I don't understand is why did they implement that if they're not going to enforce it? Because obviously most people aren't going to be able to open up a game and then kind of just calibrate by eye, each game having its own HDR setting, and I change TVs, so I have the same console, on multiple TVs. So when I'm shifting around, it's just chaos. I don't understand why the system level isn't just enforced. Like, that's it. You talk to us. Don't worry about talking to the consumer, kind of thing.
I have no idea.
Like,
I don't know.
In a perfect world, man, Dolby Vision gaming would like essentially work, and like HDR10 plus gaming would be pushed more. And then these things would just be recognizing our displays and setting themselves. Like, that's the perfect world, right? And I
That'd
think
be
we're gonna
nice.
get there eventually. We
No,
probably
it's not
will,
nice.
When
but it's a question of when, right?
PS9.
So far though, like, there has been a bigger push for HDR10 plus than I expected. Like,
Really?
for gaming, like, we've been seeing it pop up in more games.
Yeah.
So that's
Xbox games
more
or
than what
No.
it's all PC right now.
oh,
But
right, because I haven't
but
seen
this
it
could
on
be
Xbox
something
yet.
that could be a part of the next generation of consoles. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm.
very possible. Like, it's still in its infancy, really.
Yeah, it's
but
just frustrating. We still have
better
format
than what
wars.
Dolby Vision gaming has done. Like, Dolby
Yeah.
Vision gaming is a joke. It has been a joke since the birth of it.
Mm.
And I actually made a video before Dolby Vision gaming came out, and I said, guys, don't expect anything from this because they have Dolby Atmos in their games and they barely work.
Yeah, Atmos also adds a lot of lag as well. A lot of people complaining about that.
It's not good, but yeah, I had big hope for Dolby Vision gaming, but it's that's it. Game over. It was never alive. Mandare is saying the new iPad Pro have tandem OLED and it looks so cool. I hope we see it in next LG TV soon. I'm not sure. Can they make this small display also in big one? Of course they can.
Yeah.
Not that same display. It would have to be some sort of compromise. It would have to be something. I don't know. Like, because it's not a W OLED, right? Like, the tandem OLED is not a W OLED. Let's get that clear. So I don't know.
A lot of games have so bad internal resolution, not even 720 native, and you see so much shimmering artifacts or laser beam upscale on console. Yeah, thanks to, I don't know. Is it just Unreal Engine 5 or just general questions? I think that looking back, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, of course not, but PlayStation 2, especially PlayStation 3, I think we still had more 60 FPS games on PlayStation 2 or 3 or maybe whatever, and cleaner games. Not as much shimmering, not as much aliasing and stuff like that. I think because the graphical demand or the demand on the games was not as high, so there was not as much effects on the screen and stuff like that. This can be a reason why we have now to sacrifice resolution. And of course, if you have a very low resolution and you try something with FSR or whatever, it's terrible. FSR isn't. I'm looking forward for PSSR on the PlayStation 5 Pro.
I hate really that name.
Because Pisser. I don't know what this. I know. Yeah, you have to be very careful. PSSR. Yeah,
they could have got a better name.
Yeah. Who greenlit that?
And I'm pretty sure that they discussed this in a meeting. And they decided, now we go for this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm looking forward for the new upscaling technology from Sony. If it can compete, it's probably hard to compare, but actually probably not. You have a couple of games on PC and PlayStation 5 Pro soon, and then we can compare what how good the quality is.
Yeah, this is a little off topic, but like, one thing I've really been liking about
Nothing is
evolution of TVs.
off topic today.
But okay, that's true. The evolution of TVs, right? Like, I think implementing more settings that can modify your picture quality is a great thing. So like, I don't know if you're familiar with reality creation, but messing around with that in some of the games that are like in quality mode, just cranking it up a little bit, you'd be surprised at how much detail comes out. Like, it's crazy how like good these settings are. And a lot of them are like algorithm based. This one's like machine learning. So I think that kind of stuff is just going to get better and better and better, especially as we get more advanced AI being put in these TVs. I think that's going to be a big push in the future. So this is the thing that I always keep my eye out on because it doesn't seem to add any input lag. when I use reality creation, and no other TV really has anything quite like that. And then, like, we were talking about Game Motion Plus, for example, right? Like, why is that not in every other TV? Like, that
Yeah,
is really good.
correct.
Like,
This is
really,
really good.
really
Yeah.
good.
I think people don't even understand this, how good Game Motion Plus is from Samsung. That really, that's I mean, to be very honest, I'm always forgetting this because it's not a feature what is very well known. But if people, that's why people, when they're asking me, I just like to play games. What TV are you recommending? QD OLED, because of the panel, and you have Game Motion Plus. Unfortunately, you need to have fixed 60 FPS or 30 FPS. You can't use VR and stuff like that. But hey, you can make this happen. And most of the games having a 60 FPS mode anyway.
Right. And you can't use VR because it's essentially like manipulating the frames as well. So it's like you can't have two things manipulating the frames.
We have a comment from Chris D. Adam, you are absolutely right. Once someone already has C1, CX, you are getting like 90%, 95% of the best. And yeah, that's something I feel like I rave on about every stream is, when I had my 8K QN900A and I had my LG C1, when my Samsung failed, the only reason I bought the G4 was because it failed and I got a refund. And admittedly, watching all the videos, watching, KG, FOMO, everyone, I got sucked into the hype. And
I'm sorry.
I think no, look, it's an awesome TV. I guess my point is that I didn't feel like I managed my expectations, judging on the hype and how much praise this TV was receiving. I was expecting a huge leap. So when I got my G4 home, and I'd spent a lot of time on my C1, obviously, it is a better TV, but like if someone said, should I sell my C1 and get a G4? No way. My C1 is still so good. Like I've got the 83-inch C1 and the 83-inch G4. And I feel like that's why I was saying before, like there's a lot of evolutionary stuff going on. Like, okay, the G4 is better, but if you've got a perfectly good C10, C1, C2, like do not upgrade. There's no reason. There's not, like, that's the thing. It's the managing expectations. I was thinking, oh my God, this thing's going to blow my hair off and it's going to be so much better. And like, it is a better TV, but it's not that much better. Like once you have a modern OLED, they are just so damn good.
Yeah.
It's there's nothing really that would justify you upgrading at that point.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the majority of the videos that I'm doing, when I'm talking about, hey, this is a good TV to get, I'm talking to people that need a TV now. I don't want people to like ditch their old TV for this TV, because essentially you really don't have to. I mean, I have an A80J still as my main TV in my living room, and I love this TV. Like I wouldn't upgrade it for a little bit until I find something that's, again, like game changing. And I like QD OLED, but to me, upgrading that TV isn't really a necessity because I don't need brightness down there. I don't need, certain things you just really don't need. So you just have to ask yourself, what do you need at the end of the day? And I think the biggest reason to upgrade is size. So like I keep going down to that. It's like, if you need a bigger size, that's a perfect reason to upgrade it. If you don't, if you're not going to switch sizes, you're going to go from like a C1 to a C4, like don't do that.
You're going to be disappointed, man. You're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah,
and Marcus always goes on about how QD OLED's much better than his G2, and like, okay, yeah, he's right. Okay, it's a better panel, but
it's not worth the price what you have to pay.
Yeah, people have to remember, like when we're talking about these things, we are literally going to the top 95% of the TVs, and then in that top 5% bracket, we're splitting hairs. So QD OLED is better, but is it like 3% better? You know what I mean? And then obviously the price is going to be considerably different if you're purchasing a new TV, and so when you have a C10 and then you're going to go buy the latest QD OLED panel, you're going to be paying thousands, and then you get it home and you're going to be getting single-digit percentage improvements. So I think people just need to keep that in mind.
And it really depends on your use
Yeah.
case too. Like if you're just
True.
gonna use it for certain things, a lot of people just watch SDR. Like,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna see that much of a difference there. It is brighter, yes, but like the difference is not gonna be as big as like in a very like high
Meaningful
impact
way.
HDR movie or game,
Mm.
right? And it really depends on the content because there are so many things where it looks the same. It looks
Yeah.
completely the same if the
Absolutely.
game or the movie is not optimized to like a bright level. So
Yeah.
it really
So
depends.
let's jump back to the comment section of this one. Why should we enable
question.
HDR for, let's say, Samsung OLED if HDR games on PlayStation 5 does not support it quite yet? I think there's still a misunderstanding here.
Yeah.
So not a single game supports HDR. Not a single PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever supports HDR. HDR is a tone mapping, or is a tone mapping format on the. It's not tone mapping, but it's a tone mapping format on the TV. And what HDR is doing, it is hard clipping at the maximum peak brightness of your TV. So hard clipping means it will not try to show anything above this value.
Mhm.
Okay, so dynamic tone mapping means you will have always a different average picture brightness depending on the scene. And with dynamic tone mapping on, you have a lot of clipping and specular highlights. You lose a lot of details, okay? So that's why in 99% of the games, I recommend HDR. There are some games, they're looking terrible, but this is because of how the game was made, okay? Or mastered in HDR. So, but I would always recommend to try to use HDR to have a stable HDR experience because you don't have the fluctuating brightness all the time.
Yeah.
So again, HDR is on the TV. It has nothing to do with any PlayStation, Xbox, PC game. Nothing at all.
Right.
You want to
And
add
it's
something?
like if you don't have it in that, and say okay, let's go with original mode, which looks really good, right? It looks pretty much like filmmaker mode, if you use the original game preset, like on the Samsung. But when you run into the games that are going to fluctuate with their HDR values, like all of a sudden that might clip a lot. So you can have it set to 4,000 nits in the settings menu for original all you want, but you're gonna run into the games that are gonna cause problems. So if you put on the game HDR feature, which is essentially HDRG, like yes, you will have less clipping in most of your experiences if you're setting your settings properly. And it really depends on the TV also, right? Like, because we've seen some Samsung TVs where it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's not clipping at the right point, or oh, it's tone
Yeah.
mapping when it's not supposed
So,
to.
The
But
S95D has
recently
proper
it's been good.
HDR support, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the S95C, what I have, don't.
Oh,
But
so
anyway.
I remember
Yeah.
it did, and then I guess it got a patch, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. So it's like, that sucks.
It's 1800 nits at the moment, but it's really clipping hard then, at 1800.
That's
So,
right.
but it's still tone mapping because 1800 is not
Yeah.
the native peak brightness.
I think we have is this a comment from one of your channel members, Marcus?
Yes.
I had an LG G10 and upgraded to an LG G3. The biggest difference I noticed was only the brightness level, but the colors were still the same as the LG G10. I was disappointed, and this is exactly what we were just discussing before. It's like you need to manage your expectations because the improvements year over year are so incremental. Let's just say we continue on this kind of rate of improvement where we get a few percentage every year. In my opinion, like if you have money, cool, go and upgrade every year. But in my opinion, I think, man, almost like 5 years is where you should probably wait until you're going to get some sort of meaningful upgrade.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want
Well,
to end up with
especially
buyer's remorse.
if you're buying a premium TV, you're buying a premium TV. You have to remember that at the end of the day. You bought a
Yeah.
premium TV. Like if you have a G1, it's a good TV. Don't upgrade from it
Yeah.
for a while. Like you don't need to because you bought that. You paid the money so that you don't have to do that.
Yeah, that's
So-
actually a good point. If you do purchase any modern or have any relatively modern OLED, even if you get a B series or a C series LG, you kind of, even those TVs are better than 90% of all the other TVs on the market. So that's a really good point you bring up. If you have an older TV that you bought 6 months ago and it's a crappy LCD TV, then yeah, go and buy an OLED. Like, you're going to get a huge jump. But if you're buying, any OLED panels, that's where you really need to wait time to get value for money when you do your upgrades.
Yeah, and the B series is a perfect example of that. Like this year, I was surprised at how good the B series was. I was
Solid.
like, wow,
Yeah.
this thing is actually almost better than the C4 at times. I don't know how. I have no idea how. It has something to do with the processor. It's using a newer type of processor. And it's
Also, the
using a very
B4 has.
similar algorithm as the G4. So it's like really
okay.
weird in that sense, but it is not as good with the HDR brightness. Let's get that clear. Like
Yep.
C4 HDR
Yeah.
brightness is better, but not by a ton. And in game mode, it's actually better than the C4.
Yeah,
Outside
I
of game
saw
mode,
that.
it's not. But
Very interesting.
inside of game mode, it is. And you can get a
Weird.
48-inch version of this TV right now for $699 US. Like,
That's
wow,
cheap, man.
that's crazy.
Bloody
Like,
hell,
I've
you-
never seen
you get-
OLED TVs that cheap, man.
And this is the thing, you know what I mean? You have to, for the, how much is the Alienware QD OLED monitor in the US?
Which one?
The 32 whatever. The standard. So is it cheaper or is it more expensive than a 48
I don't know. I
B4?
think it's like $8.99. It might be on sale though. I'm not sure.
So I guarantee
when it first
you
came
the
out, it
B4
was like $10.99, but I don't know what it is
And it-
now.
And yet we're talking about a 32-inch versus a 48-inch.
Yeah, the
With all the
32-inch
features from
Yep.
LG.
32-inch QD OLED Samsung that I'm testing out right now. I think the retail price for that is like $8.99, $9.99.
yeah.
So
There's no point. Go with the 48.
exactly, I would totally go with the 48-inch
Yeah.
WOLED over a 32-inch QD OLED monitor. I don't know what it is, but monitors are not that good
No,
compared to
my
TVs. I don't
talking.
know what it is.
My
I don't know
talking.
what it is.
So let me ask you a question. The monitor, what you're testing right now, when you use HDR, have you still control over colors and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Saturation. So for this, okay.
So
Because
it's pretty much
most
like a
of them,
TV. That's the cool
okay,
thing
cool.
about it is you have the same like settings as a TV. So I can use game mode and I can go to game mode original and it's pretty on point like in terms of the colors. So like I have no issue with that. The problem is I guess it might just lack processing or something. I don't know exactly what it is. There's just not that same like crisp like look to it. It looks like it's
Okay.
lacking something. And it could actually be the screen coating, to be honest with you, because it does have that matte screen coating,
Yeah.
and it just looks softer. But I am using
Yeah,
like
that's-
I'm literally sitting like right in front of it, so that didn't bother me on the S95D. But on this one, I'm a little closer to it. It's a little softer than I would like. So
Not good. Anyway, can you guys talk about HGHG? I think we did this already. Just one last comment. HGHG is always... So let's make it very simple. HGHG has a stable average picture brightness. Dynamic tone mapping on will have a average picture brightness because it's always dynamic, and it will have a lot of clipping and speckle highlights. And you have also sometimes maybe more raised blacks than with HGHG. So it's not really to recommend unless you play in a very bright room. But you should play anyway in a dark room when you play HDR games. That's my recommendation.
Really quick, let me just say so shout out to you, Marcus. You're working really hard right now. If you guys are appreciating all the work he's putting in, give this man a super chat. Throw him a tip, man. He is doing so much work, and he puts in a lot of work. So yeah, show your appreciation for this man. Show some love.
Yeah, Marcus, he's doing really good work for the community. You are grinding hard, man. I see your videos come up and I'm like, how are you producing that many videos that quickly? So you're obviously doing something right, man.
Actually.
So
it's really like that. And that's why sometimes it's, doing 3-4 videos, for a game to get them out, because it's like, no one cares if you're a week after the release of a game, you're releasing a video. No one cares. And that's why you have to grind really like crazy, like an idiot, staying up to the whole night, because the thing is also what people need to remember. If a game gets released, it's usually 11:30 here PM when I can start playing the game, because that's how it is if it's an international release. it's 11:30 p.m. here, and then you can start playing a game, testing and stuff like that. So it is at the end 5 a.m. in the morning, whatever, when I maybe can start editing, and then it's 11 or whatever. So I'm not sleeping at this day.
Yeah. I remember I
But
was doing HDR videos, and I was doing things very similar to you, where it was like on release day, I would grind. I was
Yeah.
like, why am I doing this? I was thinking to myself, the game just came out. I can take my time on this. People still watch it. But then I was thinking, no, actually, maybe they won't, because I need to get this out right when it releases, because people are going to look for settings. And it's just it's frustrating. So like, I'm glad you're getting review codes now for some games, because otherwise, how the heck, you
Yeah.
have to grind
It's
so
too
much
hard.
to get them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still it's a lot of work. But yeah, thank you.
So Microtix said, I had a B7 and went to a C1. Massive upgrade with 4K, 120 Hz Dolby Vision and brightness improvements. Upgraded the size too. Couldn't justify anything newer until some huge update. Perfect example. What's that, like a 4 to 5 year upgrade window there? So I'm assuming the B7 probably didn't have all those gaming features and things like that. That's a perfect example. Wait. I think, well, the OLED improvements have been, from a B7 to today, it's astronomical. So if you've still got something like that, but that kind of goes back to what we were saying, like, roughly a 5-year window, particularly if you're already on OLED, is probably where you should start looking. That's where you're going to start being a bit more satisfied with your purchase. Any other questions, guys? Here we go.
So, yes, the S95C was a big upgrade for me, and I wish Marcus would pay some attention to QD OLED TVs and HDR gaming reviews like he does with LG OLED TVs. So, in general, my HDR recommendations are very basically so that when I'm reviewing a game in regards of HDR, this is actually, I try to cover all. It's impossible, but of course I try to cover all the monitors or whatever what out there. But you can't make any specific recommendations. So I look actually and to have the best outcome from the PlayStation 5. What your TV monitor is doing then with this output or with the signal, I have no control over that. That's why sometimes I'm doing extra videos just for settings for the LG TVs and sometimes also for the S95C. But yeah, I know I need to do more with the S95C. I agree on that. Yeah. But I don't know when I can do that. I really don't know,
Hey, I'm from Chris D at Tech with KG. I'm guessing you really like Sony TVs. I still have the 2020 flagship X950H full array local dimming, and I love this screen still. I really like the Android TV and probably the best in class post-processing.
Yeah, Sony TVs are great. Like, all the TVs are great, to be honest with you. But Sony does something with their processing that is really good. Like, you just cannot beat it, especially when you're talking about the extra settings like reality creation, for example. No,
they
other
also
TV
do
really
something with
does
their
that.
pricing too.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a good point. I don't know how bad the pricing difference is where you guys are at, but
It's bad.
Okay. Is it like significantly worse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard they have some like trouble with getting it to certain countries, and yeah, it's already expensive, but it's going to be even more expensive there, from what I hear.
So that brings a question, like, what was the last year's flagship Sony OLED? What was it? The A95
A95L.
L. So they've changed the naming scheme this year, right? Because
the QD OLED. So you're talking about the QD OLED? What was the last flagship QD OLED?
Yeah. What was their flagship? What was it? The L. The L was it?
A95L.
Yeah. So this year they've gone to like a number series. So it's the
Mhm.
Bravia 789. So the 8 is the flagship OLED, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, what they did was they carried over the A95L, and they're still calling that the flagship OLED. And the Bravia 8 is pretty much like the way to get into OLED.
So I'm finding Sony's are generally anywhere from 15 to 30% more expensive than their equivalent counterparts. So if you've got like a G4 and then the Sony Bravia 8, I'm guessing that's what it is. Yeah, that's in Australia. Like, we have that pretty hefty Sony tax. So in your opinion, like I watch a lot of reviews. I watch your stuff as well. obviously people are saying, it's got heaps better processing, and like they just have all these little features that they add in, and you are getting that little bit of an edge on the picture. But in your opinion, if you were to put them side by side and you say, oh, this one's 30% more expensive, is it worth the extra money to go to a Sony?
That's tough, because I would say generally no, because it depends on what you compare it to. If you're like, I don't want to buy a Samsung, and you're looking at a C4 and like a Bravia 8, for example, and this is gaming specifically, since this is a gaming channel, let's talk gaming. The C4 game mode, right? It's kind of lackluster compared to the other OLED TVs. We just have to be real honest with this. Like, lacks a little bit of color brightness. Brightness in general just isn't as good. For whatever reason, the Bravia 8 is looking just significantly better than the C4 in game mode. Outside of game mode, C4 looks better than the Bravia 8, but that's more just in terms of brightness. Processing still better on the Bravia 8. I just think that when it comes down to comparing the TVs right now, there's a elephant in the room, and it's QD OLED, right? Like, when you can get a QD OLED for the same price as a WOLED, that's for gaming. You just have to go with a QD OLED. You just
even
have to
over a
go that route.
G4.
So in that circumstance, S95D over a G4 for game mode, in my opinion, it's close though. The G4 is definitely close to the S95D. You have more like fine-tuned controls, like you want to get rid of some of that black level rays. Like the G4 has the game optimizer. Same thing with the C4. You can make a case for that in that sense. You have more finite controls like that for HDR gaming. And maybe you do need that in this case. But if we're just talking about pure ability, I think like the S95D is the best gaming TV in terms of picture quality. The G4 is not too far off though. And A95L is right there as well. So
yeah, from my experience, I've always found Sony to be the least gamer-friendly TVs, particularly over the last few years. They've always been behind with their chipsets and things like that, and they haven't been able to offer, even having 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. Like, what's with that? I just think that's silly.
It's
but
just like they don't make their own parts. So
yeah,
that's the biggest thing. That's why they still have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports only.
Well, man, they get everything else from either LG or Samsung. Why don't they just get a chipset from them too? Like, they're buying their panels from them. Know. So anyway, Marcus, go ahead with the next one. Sorry, man.
Nah, we need to. So because we coming close to 2 hours, and I would like to keep it at 2 hours. So we just should jump on a couple of comment sections or questions quickly. What do you guys think of contrast enhancers? Make some HDR titles look really good. I'm not using it. It's depending if you like it. It can look better. It can destroy the picture. It depends on the game. Depends on the movie. I'm not using it at all because I like to have. I need it how it was made, actually. How the developer actually decided how to do the picture, because contrast enhancer is really bad in terms of that. Wanted to ask you about RGB range with PlayStation 5 and PC. I know you recommended auto on both TVs and PlayStation 5, but there are other people that say it should be limited because LG OLEDs are factory calibrated for it. I never heard this with factory calibrated, but yes. So if you're unsure what to use always limited. Never ever use full. Because the problem is with PlayStation, as soon as you use 120 Hertz, it will use YCBCR. And YCBCR is always limited format. If you now use full, you have actually a complete washed out picture. But if you can leave it on auto, leave it on auto. I never had any problems. Not that my TV or any other TV did not recognize what input selects. I think those days are already long time gone.
I don't think I've ever had a problem using auto on any setting for like
any setting. I heard C9 or whatever had no auto. It has just limited on full. And I always recommend then limited on both sides, of course. You can't mix it. You can't mix it.
Interesting.
I had this one. Vessel of Hatred. Diablo is out, but HDR Black Level Rays is still too bad. So I have to say something here, because in the very beginning when I tested Diablo 4, I was like, oh, this is not good. There's a black level rays and it looks washed out. And then I got this nice HDR analyzer tool, and I found actually some sceneries or levels or dungeons where there is 0 HDR black level raise. That means everything else is done on purpose. Okay, so the game can perfectly display 0 nits if the developer wants to. So that means, yeah, unfortunately, they don't want to.
Must be the lighting, just like making it raise or something.
Yeah. And this one, so if you don't use HDRG, should I set the sun on PlayStation 5 calibration to the number of what my TV needs? No. Always follow the instruction on the screen. Always, because if you use tone mapping now, the TV expect those nits. You know what I mean? That's the thing then. So, and always use, so I think for LG is 3800 or 4000. I think 38 or 4000 nits. If you use dynamic tone mapping off or on. And for HDRG, just follow the instruction then, because then it hard clips. Okay, but I always plan to do a proper video about that. If there is really a visible difference, if let's say on the CX, which has 750, 800 nits maximum, if I would now use also for dynamic tone mapping on 800 nits, if I would really see a difference, question mark, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure like you won't.
Yeah, but just follow the instruction. I'm pretty sure Sony, Xbox, Windows, they know what they're doing, when they're doing this bloody calibration thing.
I think you should do that video though, like, because it would be really informative just to see, like, is there cases where it actually does make a difference? Because I've tested it and I haven't seen any results. But hey, there could be some games, some titles that actually where you will see a difference. And that's the thing, it's hard because it depends on the game sometimes. What you're testing.
So if you have a game, let's say this supports the HDR system level calibration, it's also is doing then the tone mapping on the game or the console. I can see that maybe because you increase now the maximum peak brightness, you will also increase the average picture brightness, probably. If the game is built like that. If a game has always a white paper setting of 250, then a maximum peak brightness doesn't matter at all. But some games increasing this as well. So can be a difference, but hard to say.
Guys, we're just to the stream, the chat. We're wrapping up in about 9 minutes. So if anyone's got any last questions, please send them through. But we have one for KG here. Do you think the S95E next year will continue with matte finish panels?
Man, I do, because like I think Vincent had a video out where they were previewing some of the improvements that they're making, and it sure looked like they still had that kind of coating on it, but like they're doing some things to make the black levels a little bit better. I don't know though, right? They could totally ditch it. It could just be like one of the things they showed off. I hope they do both. Like, let's get one that has it, one that doesn't have it, because there is use cases for it. But yeah, it's hard to say.
That's good. Is there a way we subscribe can do a fundraiser so we can get a Sony A95L or Bravia 9?
Oh, that would be cool, man. But yeah, I don't know how that's
okay.
Work.
All good.
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know about you guys over in the States, but at least for like myself, I guess Marcus is probably in the same boat. We have to buy everything we work on. Like, we don't have any contact with any of the brands. So every time we review a TV, it does cost us a lot of money, and it's tricky because we might go out and spend $1,000 plus $2,000 on a TV, and then it bombs on the reviews, and it's not much of a return on that investment. So as much as it would be cool for people to chip in and buy TVs, I'm actually at the problem where I've got a video coming up with Marcus, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm purchasing 3 TVs, and it's like, well, what do I do with these 3 TVs at the end? I don't have a use for them, and I can't take them back. So it's do you guys have any contact with vendors over there, or do you do your own stuff as well? You have to purchase everything.
Some manufacturers do like review units, but for me personally, I only got like contacts with like 2 people. And I barely get review units, so it's kind of a struggle to get units in. And for you, like, I would say if you can't sell it, man, that's gonna be rough. Like, I don't know how else you would do it. So it's gonna be tough.
Oh, look, I
don't know if
love
there's
doing it, but
contacts there that you can get in contact with though, but I don't know what the scene is like there. But you'd be surprised. Just do some cold calls, reach out. Like,
yeah, the difference is a lot of the main brands like the top dogs, Sony, Samsung, LG, by the time we get the the G4 and all the 2024 models, they've been out in America for 3 months and there's a million reviews, so there's no point in us getting our hands on them. So the only thing we can do is our local TVs here, so stuff that's Australian exclusive. So yeah, it's a bit tricky, but it's the game.
Kangaroo brands.
Yeah, it's just the game. Here we go.
Yeah.
A final question. All three of you have a TV behind you. What is that TV? Well, I'll start. I've got this. I'm in my studio. This is my cheapest, nastiest, biggest TV. It's an 86-inch Samsung. Was it UR8050? So, man, it was like,
LCD.
oh, look. It was like I said, it was my studio. This is where the boys hang out. We just wanted the biggest, nastiest TV to watch sports on. So it was, I think it was like $1,400.
Just say you're broke.
Australian.
Just say you're broke. That's all.
Yeah, man. But it's it's for the money,
You're right.
Watching sports.
No, I absolutely agree. I'm
bigger,
just
better.
Kidding around,
No, it's cool, man. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, for that purpose, man, and big ass nasty 86 inch is so good for sport. You don't need anything high end for that. But yeah, how about you boys?
So what's behind you, KG?
Oh, this is a LG G5. It's not out yet, but LG sent it to me because I was saying so many nice things about LG. They're like, "Hey, we'll just give this guy a G5 to test out." So that's what
just
it is.
The G5. They asked me about some input for the G6.
No, it's a Hisense U8N.
Okay,
yeah, nice.
Cool. Okay, and here we have the LG G2.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah,
you guys overpay.
You guys overpay for everything. Yes,
not for everything.
It looks
we
like
can have spiders for free everywhere.
Yeah, we really do.
Let's take this one, the last one. Okay, gaming question. What do you think about the current Ubisoft case? Oh my God, no. Okay, I don't want to go this. No, but I think well deserved. All good. Okay, thank you.
Did you get
a lot? I don't know.
Did you get a lot of feedback from that last stream or something? Or
it was, it was funny because I think I need to show you this. So first of all, the people, you have a 50-50 thing, and you have not a normal. You can't. It's just crazy, Just don't want to go into this, but I took the stream down for a reason, because it was too hated. Because people are just stupid, absolutely stupid, both sides, full stop. You know what I mean?
Did you cut the stream early? Did you? You canceled it early?
No, I didn't let it up. So we finished the stream as normal, but I usually the stream stays up, but in this case I took it down.
Yeah, I went looking for it. I couldn't find it. I was wondering what was going on.
Then that's fine. I will never do this again because it's just stupid. You can't do this on a gaming channel. Trying to talk about a topic like this and I expect a normal conversation.
It's like
doesn't work.
Doing a PS5 versus Xbox stream and expecting it to like
it's even worse,
so
like PlayStation 5, Xbox is not as worse as
you're bringing politics into it all of a sudden, and you
bloody hell. And I was just asking normal questions to understand.
I thought it was a good stream overall, and I thought it was tame, and I think people were like super overreacting. So
yeah, and it was really fun because when you look at your analytics then, and I lost on this day apparently 70 subscribers. But the next day I gained 280. I don't know what went wrong, but it actually helped somehow. I don't know what went wrong, but maybe some people came back because they realized, hey, that's stupid to unsubscribe from some just because he has a different opinion, maybe. But anyway, too much politics.
We could all probably speak to this. Like I uploaded a video a long time ago, which was the Samsung Neo QLED versus an OLED, and in that review, I said the Neo QLED was better. Man, I got death threats on that video. Like I'm not even kidding. Like
that's crazy.
It doesn't.
I'm not making that up. There were literal threats on there, death threats, and some of the comments that people made. I don't know why people. I don't know, I just feel like in public people wouldn't make those comments. So I just wish people would just chill out. Like, we're all allowed to disagree and that's cool. You know what I mean? We're all going to share this planet together. So there's no need to be so
and it's always the same. You do a video about something, PlayStation, Xbox, really doesn't matter. And you're positive about the video, you get almost 100% likes. you know.
Yeah.
And then you criticize something like in my Silent Hill video about the frame rate, and suddenly, you know, you have not the same. So that the video is from the same quality. You know what I mean? But people don't like this because you should just and you get comments. Oh my God! Always, why are you just talking about frame rate? So you know, why are you talking about performance, frame rate, and this? So and I was like, first of all, that's our frame rate performance video. So yes, that's why I'm talking about it. And why should we just be silent about this?
Oh yeah.
You know, we shouldn't.
Man,
we shouldn't point this out.
I've been called an LG shill, a Samsung shill, a Sony shill, a Hisense shill, a
Doesn't matter
TCL
because
shill.
it
I've been
depends on
called
the
it all
content.
this year. It's crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
which one am I?
Yeah.
Am I like,
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Nah, fanboys are stupid. That's my only comment. Fanboys are stupid. You know what I mean? That's
I think if you're like going for just a specific brand and that's all you're going to, you're just missing out. You're missing out,
Yeah.
man. You're not
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
yourself a service. Like these companies don't owe you nothing, and they won't give you anything. That like they are not going to be your friend. These companies are not your friend.
No.
You are a consumer at the end of the day. That's why we're trying to
Correct.
give you reviews that are like honest as much as we can, right? I'm not gonna outright trash a TV if it doesn't deserve it. Like, what TV out there actually deserves a review where it's like, oh, this is garbage. Like, this TV is garbage. Don't buy it.
Check out
Like,
a video. Check out one of my Hisense reviews. I trashed it, but you can see it's garbage.
right? What kind of what model was that?
It's the Hisense U9G. It's on my channel, but
Okay.
you can see it's absolute. It's a train wreck. But yeah,
I think I had the UAG and I killed it. Like I actually buried it. So
my review was so bad. FOMO actually reposted and kind of did his own review on my review on his channel a while back. So if anyone's interested in that, you can see how bad it is. But yeah, you get the fanboy, you get the shill, like, you know, oh, here's the bag of cash from LG for that review. You know, it's like just take it easy, man.
Yeah, these
know,
companies
if anything,
don't pay us.
They
like,
got the bag
I
of
want to
cash.
tell you that right now. These pay us they don't pay us nothing. They pay us nothing.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I also have to say, if I get review codes for games, there was never any agreement or whatever that I need to say a specific thing. Nothing at all.
That's
so,
cool.
and I wouldn't do that, to be very honest. Then I would rather buy the game and I would tell you what I think about it. But no, we're not getting paid. And
here's the last one for you, Marcus. So yeah,
all these HDR reviews and buying those games, do you actually beat and finish those games? No, not at all. Not even close.
What game is worth finishing these days, though?
No, I mean, look, all the games. So Silent Hill 2, my last game, what I tell you, bloody hell, this is really good, really nice. You know, I know frame it, but forget about this. You know what I mean? You get used to it, and it's really great game, absolutely fantastic. But I will not have time to play it. No.
Yeah.
No, that's
Marcus is too busy making 4 videos a week, so you know he's got no
that's
time.
not true.
But you have a job too, like a full-time job, which is crazy.
Correct.
Yeah, it's wild.
And a family, which is crazy.
Plus 3 kids.
I don't have a family right now. Like, I mean, like not right now. I never had a family. Like I have a family right now. I'm a single dude, and I don't have kids, so I'm like living my best life right now. And I have time. So that is a luxury, and I use that to my advantage.
No, absolutely.
And I recognize because other people don't. And
they
tell me about it. I'm like, man, I couldn't do it. If I was in your shoes, I couldn't do it. So I admire you for that.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's really crazy. But you need a supportive family. I mean, the kids. I don't care what the kids thinking. You know? But no, it's the thing. You know, it's yeah. Anyway, let's wrap it up for today. I think this was great. Having KG on board was absolutely fantastic. So what are you doing now? Are you going to bed or?
Probably stay up for another hour or two, and then
why not?
Go to bed. Actually, I'm still editing a video, so I gotta finish editing a video, and then then I'll go to sleep. And it might be 6 a.m. by the time I go to sleep. Yeah. That's the life, bro. I'm telling you, that is my life. I stay up sometimes till 6 a.m. editing.
Oh my God! You know how young I was when I first of all I was unemployed when I did this.
Wow.
But now it's really great if you have this freedom. You know what I mean? Bloody hell. Oh my God.
So everyone in the chat who's joined us, thank you very much for all the comments. We really appreciate it. You join most people here. I recognize every week that are doing our regular stream with us. So thank you very much for being here. And yeah, KG, man, thanks very much. If you're ever around and you see us live streaming, you know, please hit us up. You're fantastic to have on. You got so much knowledge to share. So
I appreciate it. You guys are always great to talk to. I love talking to you guys. Anytime. So yeah.
Yep, we do this. When's the next stream? Sunday, 9 a.m. ACDT. So now we have summertime here in Australia with Ariel and probably Adam and whoever wants to join. We have always tried to have 4 people, maybe maximum 4 people. And then Wednesday. Every Wednesday. Yay! We have let's do this.
There you go.
Last
I
one.
have to, man.
Marcus, yeah, it's very close to my real name, but it's fine. It's fine. Are you going to review PlayStation 5 Pro? Yeah, absolutely. First day when it comes out. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing. Maybe just reviewing the PlayStation 5 Pro on its own, but what game? I have no idea yet. Maybe one of the most famous games. Maybe Horizon or whatever. Let's see. But I will do this. Yeah. Thank you very much for this for the super chat.
Awesome. Well, yes, I think that we'll end it there. So yeah, thank you from me. I appreciate it. Everyone who's joined us, and Tech with KG and Marcus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No worries. Okay. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Later, guys.